Why is it that the more successful you become, the more you feel like a fraud? Most high achievers live with a constant fear that one day, someone will tap them on the shoulder and say, "We finally figured it out, you don't belong here." This isn't a lack of ability, it's a psychological glitch called imposter syndrome. Today, we are going into the mechanics of self-doubt. I'll show you how to rewire your brain to stop feeling like a fake and start building a quiet, unshakable confidence that doesn't need external validation. The money script: why your childhood dictates your current bank account. Your money mindset starts early, often before you can vote or drive. A lot of what you do with money comes from a money script learned in childhood. This script acts like a thermostat for wealth, setting a quiet ceiling or floor on what you feel comfortable saving, spending, or investing. If the thermostat sits on scarcity, every dollar looks like a danger signal. If it runs hot on abundance, spending may feel like permission to treat money as a toy. Scarcity fog drifts in when resources feel tight, clouding choices and speeding up impulse buys. A child who overhears money is scarce may grow up overprotective about every expense. A child who sees money as endless may develop habits that ignore long-term costs. The pattern repeats in adulthood as emotional reactions trump plan. The result is not fate, but a pattern your choices reinforce day after day. Changing this starts with diagnosing the money script. Name the script you inherited, give it a nickname, notice when it shows up. Question the belief by looking for evidence that contradicts it. Build a healthier script, one that treats wealth as a quiet result of consistent behavior. The wealth thermostat moves slowly, but it does move when you test your capacity to save and invest. You begin to see your money as a tool, not a verdict on your worth, and that shift changes the room you stand in when a sale appears. Habits are the true engine. The compound interest of habits says small daily actions accumulate into real change without drama. Automate saving so the habit happens without effort. Set simple rules to reduce emotional spending, like a 24-hour wait for non-essential purchases. Track spending and outcomes so you can see progress rather than feel lack. Use reminders to buy things you truly value, not ones that satisfy short-term cravings. When you notice a trigger, you can swap a quick impulse for a deliberate check, and the moment of choice becomes the place where wealth starts to grow. Real wealth shows up as a quiet outcome. A person who follows a steady saving and investing pattern slowly widens the gap between income and spending. This is the wealth thermostat in action. Not dramatic bursts of wealth, but a stable upward curve. When you understand your money script and rewire it, emotional spending loses its grip. The money you save becomes the fuel for future goals, a house, education, or the freedom to choose. In that shift, wealth becomes less a luck of the draw and more the natural consequence of practiced, mindful behavior. Scarcity versus abundance: how your fear of losing money prevents you from making it. Scarcity fog narrows attention and makes people hoard cash, focusing on avoiding a loss rather than chasing a gain. This isn't just mood, it's a cognitive state that uses up mental bandwidth and colors judgment. In behavioral terms, fear of losing money often leads to risk aversion that keeps people from taking small, steady steps toward growth. The money script we carry tells a story that money is fragile and scarce, something to clamp down on. Yet wealth is a quiet result of consistent behavior over time, not a burst of luck. When the impulse says protect now, the brain overemphasizes downsides and underestimates distant opportunities. The wealth thermostat, set low by scarcity fog, stays cool and never lets the warmth of steady growth reach the dial. Fear of losing money makes people skip automatic saving, delay investments, and chase safe options that barely keep up with rising costs. That control fantasy is seductive, but automation defeats the drift of impulse. The compound interest of habits means tiny daily actions, setting aside a little, reviewing what matters, choosing simpler, low-friction investments, pile up into real wealth. A simple pattern shows up when someone wires money to savings and to an investment fund without needing to decide every time. The brain likes easy, reachable wins, and automation delivers them while you're busy living life. Over time, these small acts turn into options you didn't know you were building. Make room for fear by naming it and giving it a seat at the table, not control over decisions. Build a cushion that dulls the sting of the next setback, because a well-tucked emergency fund reduces the instinct to retreat to cash. Pair that with automatic contributions to diversified, low-cost options that feel boring but are steady. Treat losses as data, not verdicts about your worth or future. The money script can be rewritten to say money is a toolkit for creating options, not a trap that must be avoided at all costs. Start with a tiny experiment, Let a small, automatic slice of income flow towards savings and a broad, simple investment. Track how it feels to remove the burden of constant decision-making and notice what happens when you stop fighting the drift of behavior and start letting it work for you. Over time, you'll notice a shift. The scarcity fog thins as the wealth thermostat relaxes and your gut stops equating every market wobble with a personal threat. Instead, there's room to view risk as a natural part of growing, not a monster to outrun. The money you don't spend on impulsive choices becomes the money you do invest with purpose. The quiet math of habit compounds, and suddenly wealth emerges not from one bold move, but from a pattern you barely notice, day after day. The goal isn't heroic acts, it's steady alignment, so your choices support a future where options aren't a luxury but a default. The wealth thermostat: why lottery winners go broke and how to raise your limit. Wealth is a quiet result of consistent behavior, not a sudden windfall. The wealth thermostat is the mind's daily spending ceiling, shaped by beliefs, habits, and small choices. Lottery wins often reset that thermostat, pushing the limit higher than sustainable. People rush into flashy purchases, bigger houses, and risky bets, and taxes and advisors who miss the bigger picture can wipe out gains. The pattern shows up in real life more often than you might think. The money script is the story you tell about money. If that script says money comes only through luck or that luck is a badge, the thermostat drifts whenever a windfall arrives. Scarcity fog clears in the bright light of abundance, but it can be replaced by a new fog of social signals and impulsive spending. Wealth is not built by a single act but by a steady, quiet pattern of choices. To raise your limit, treat money as a behavior problem, not a result problem. The wealth thermostat rises when you replace loud spending with simple, repeatable routines. The compound interest of habits makes tiny daily wins grow into real wealth over time. A practical path starts with separating needs from wants and designing friction for impulsive buys. Automate savings and investments so money moves before you can spend it. Create a delayed decision rule for big purchases and a cooling-off period before any major commitment. Put the plan into action with concrete steps. Audit income and expenses and label each dollar by its money script. Set up automatic transfers to a safe account and use a cooling-off period for big buys. Track how patterns shift as the thermostat calibrates toward a sustainable wealth path. Wealth grows as a quiet result of behavior, and the money saved today becomes the foundation of future security. Emotional spending: why we buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. Emotional spending happens when impulse meets social cues and mood shifts. Many purchases are less about need and more about signaling belonging or masking discomfort. The money script tells people a story about what money is for, and that story often nudges us toward quick fixes rather than lasting value. The wealth thermostat can be adjusted, but it takes awareness to notice when it's set too high for status buys or too low for self-care. Scarcity fog makes smart choices feel urgent, so bargains look like lifelines even when they don't improve long-term security. Wealth doesn't shout. It accumulates through steady, prudent choices that aren't flashy in the moment. The brain rewards novelty and social approval, not long-term stability. When a post or a colleague's gadget dazzles us, the impulse to acquire short-circuits more thoughtful planning. We buy to feel in control, to momentarily lift a mood, or to prove we belong in a crowd we'd rather not leave. That impulse rides on a simple loop: a quick thrill now, a delayed regret later, and a new habit quietly forming from the repetition. The compound interest of habits shows up here with quiet math. Small, repeated purchases erode savings and compound into missed opportunities. The habit loop tightens when we forget that wealth is a quiet result of behavior, not an extraordinary windfall. Practical steps can reroute this pattern without denying yourself. Start by tracking triggers for a week: the time of day, the mood, the social cue, the item type. Then apply a cooling-off rule. Take 24 hours before making a non-essential purchase, and use this as a test of genuine need versus momentary want. Reframe purchases as investments in your life, not trophies to display, and let the money script renegotiate those signals you've internalized. Set up your finances to support the healthier default: a fixed, automatic transfer to savings or investments right after each paycheck, and a visible budget that marks needs, wants, and future. Create an environment that reduces temptations, such as removing apps or disabling one-click checkout for things you don't truly need. When you save instead of spend, you activate the wealth thermostat toward a calmer, more intentional pace. If you want a concrete shift, replace impulsive buys with deliberate gains. When you feel the urge to buy to impress someone you don't like, Redirect that impulse into an action that benefits you long-term, like contributing to an emergency fund or starting a small side investment. Rehearse the mindset change by naming the moment aloud as a choice, not a reflex, and celebrate every small delay that keeps you on course. Over time, these tiny choices compound, and wealth becomes a quiet outcome of disciplined behavior, not a loud display of luck or status. Delayed gratification, the biological secret to long-term wealth. Delaying gratification isn't about heroic self-control, it's biology meeting behavior. The brain has a fast, loud urge for instant rewards and a slower, steadier voice that can plan for tomorrow. When scarcity fog rolls in, the present can feel all-consuming and the urge to spend climbs. The wealth thermostat is your inner spending gauge, and it drifts with mood, stress, and routine. Small, repeatable actions push that thermostat towards steadiness. A practical first move is to separate money into a future self pot and a present self pot, so spending never fully erases future security. A 24-hour cooling off rule buys time and quiets knee-jerk purchases. Over months, these quiet habits accumulate, and the payoff often stays invisible until a surprise emergency shows up. Delaying gratification works because behavior, not luck, builds wealth. Your money script often whispers by now when you crave a reward. Scarcity fog thickens when money is tight, and waiting can feel like a waste. A simple tactic is to implement a cooling-off period before any non-essential purchase. Set up automatic transfers to savings so your future self never has to beg for attention. Keep your spending visible, not hidden. Separate accounts or envelopes let you see what stays and what goes. The wealth thermostat rises slowly as you prove to yourself you can wait, and that quiet proof changes mood more than moments of impulse. The compound interest of habits is the quiet engine. Every small, consistent action compounds. If you shift a little money into savings each week and keep the rest for essentials, over time the sum grows without drama. The payoff comes as freedom from constant worry, not as a sudden windfall. That is the essence of wealth as a result of behavior. The money script can help here too. If you tell yourself that small steps matter more than big wins, you keep moving. Create an action plan that makes delayed gratification practical. Label triggers as scarcity fog and design cues to diffuse them. Build a simple habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Automate savings and set reasonable spending caps you can actually maintain. Use the money script to reframe purchases as trade-offs, not trophies. Keep an emergency fund visible and accessible, so a surprise does not derail your path. Small, consistent steps create a quiet, steady climb toward long-term wealth. In this view, wealth is a quiet result of behavior, not a flashy moment. Risk perception. Why your brain thinks safe is actually dangerous. Loss feels heavier than gain for most people. The brain treats potential losses as more urgent than the chance for a gain. This is loss aversion, a bias baked into how we think about money. When money is on the line, the fear center lights up, and safe options can feel like shelter from pain, even if they limit growth. The scarcity fog can arrive after a scare or a paycheck squeeze, narrowing attention and making risky choices seem scarier than they actually are. Safe today can be dangerous tomorrow. Keeping money in ultra-safe places protects against immediate hurt but lets inflation and missed opportunities creep in. The wealth thermostat is your mental dial for risk, tweaked by habits, not willpower alone. If you grew up with little, you might set it low and resist market exposure. That makes sense, yet growth stays quiet. To rewire risk perception, start by reframing risk as something you can manage. Think in terms of planned exposure, not fearless bets. The money script in your head can steer you toward diversification and steady plans. Simple steps help. Automate savings so money moves before spending. Set up a basic diversified baseline for investments. Maintain an emergency fund to reduce fear of the unknown. This reduces the scarcity fog and clarifies opportunities. The compound interest of habits means small, consistent actions beat heroic bets. Every day you save a little and every week you review your plan, your brain learns. Safe choices can be smart and growth-friendly. Consider 2 early decisions. One leaves most money in cash, watching every market blink, feeling safe yet trapped by low returns. The other drafts a simple plan, automatic contributions to a diversified mix, regular check-ins, and rules to avoid chasing quick wins after losses. Over time, the second builds a steadier path. Wealth grows not from dramatic moves but from quiet, reliable actions that fit a long horizon. The money script, the wealth thermostat, and the compound interest of habits work together to turn behavior into wealth. Wealth is a quiet result of behavior. The body of daily choices becomes a life. The compound effect: how small mental shifts create massive financial results over time. Wealth tends to grow quietly because money compounds when time is on your side. The compound interest of habits turns small actions into big results, and this happens only if you keep going, day after day. Your beliefs about money shape what you do. This is the money script at work. A practical example: when you automate savings and investments, growth happens with minimal daily effort. A simple rule of thumb, the rule of 72, is a handy fact. If money earns about 7% a year, it roughly doubles every decade. Time and return together do the heavy lifting, quietly in the background. Scarcity fog makes every small purchase feel like a race against depletion. The wealth thermostat is a mental gauge that sets a limit on discretionary spending. Practical steps cut through the fog. Identify where money leaks, set an explicit monthly cap, and automate a portion to savings or investments. For many, a few dollars a day redirected from a snack or beverage can become a meaningful buffer over months and years. Over time, that buffer doesn't just sit still, it grows because it's paired with consistent saving and the power of compounding. Your money script includes beliefs like money is hard to earn or more money will solve everything. Identify and test these beliefs, then write a more constructive script, such as money is a tool I can use to protect and expand my options. Adjust the wealth thermostat by nudging your savings target upward in small, doable steps, and let your behavior begin to reflect that new target. The process is the compound interest of habits in action. A thought shift nudges a daily ritual, which then feeds wealth through time. The actual magic comes from repeated microchanges. Start with a 4-step habit. 1. Automate saving or investing with a modest, automatic transfer. 2. Contribute enough to get any employer match. 3. Keep a simple cap on discretionary spending to reduce impulse buys. 4. When you get a raise or windfall, raise the saving rate a little. Keep the system steady, review it occasionally, and adjust as life changes. The result is a quiet, powerful outcome. Wealth grows as a side effect of disciplined behavior, not a dramatic moment of luck. Money as a tool, shifting from having money to having freedom. Money is a tool that buys options and time. Viewed this way, wealth becomes a means to freedom, not a trophy to chase. The money script you carry shapes every choice, and a shift in that script can quiet the impulse to spend and loud the plan to save. The idea of the wealth thermostat is simple. Your sense of what you deserve sets a temperature for possibility. If you grew up where money was scarce, the thermostat may run low even when income rises. If you believe you deserve more options, the thermostat climbs and keeps more money in play for longer. Scarcity fog clouds decisions when cash feels tight. The mind defaults to quick relief, and purchases that feel like control can seem worthwhile in the moment. You might reach for convenience, indulgence, or debt to smooth the edge of worry. In those moments, money becomes a signal of status or security rather than a tool for freedom. A simple example: a small impulse buy offers a temporary sense of relief, yet the effect fades and leaves a tighter budget behind. The brain looks for shortcuts, and habits harden without a plan to counter the fog. The compound interest of habits shows how small daily actions accumulate into real wealth, quietly and steadily. Saving automatically, even in tiny amounts, nudges you toward freedom without demanding heroic willpower. Paying debt reduces future interest and unlocks options you didn't see before. Investing gradually in low-cost options lets time do the heavy lifting, and the returns compound in the background, not through dramatic wins. Wealth thickens not by dramatic gestures but by consistent routines that feel almost invisible until they compound into real choice. The key is to treat money as a system you design, not an emotion you chase. To rewire for freedom, start by naming your true goals. Time with loved ones, the flexibility to switch careers, the option to weather surprises without panic. These become your compass. Then design a money system that serves those goals, not a mood of today. Automate a portion of income to a savings or investment path so action happens even when motivation fades. Align your daily spending with that path, trimming things that push you away from freedom and reallocating toward things that move you toward it. When you feel the scarcity fog rise, pause and recheck your money script. Are you valuing options over immediate comfort, or are you letting fear steer the wheel? Small, deliberate adjustments reinforce the wealth thermostat upward, widening your sense of possibility and dampening the pull of impulsive buys. The wealth you seek is a quiet result of behavior, not a loud moment of luck. In practice, this means choices that prioritize long-run options, with room to pivot when life shifts. The shift from having money to having freedom is a matter of habit, not a miracle, and it starts with treating money as the tool it is. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the choices you make every day. Real wealth grows in the quiet hours of daily decisions, not in a single lucky break. The money script is the inner voice that tells you what money is allowed to do, often without you noticing. The wealth thermostat is the level you tolerate before spending nudges you back toward balance. Scarcity fog makes value blurry. Fear of missing out can push you toward quick buys that don't serve long-term goals. Wealth, in this view, stays unseen by design because it's built from choices you make when nobody is watching. To the outside eye, wealth looks like a new car or a fancy trip. What matters more is what remains after those moments fade, the savings cushion and the investments that compound over time. The compound interest of habits turns small acts into big outcomes. It is a quiet engine under the hood. Even modest, regular savings accumulate, and you can steer them with automation so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. For example, setting aside $50 from every weekly paycheck translates to about $2,600 a year, growing further with time. Meanwhile, an emergency fund covering 3 to 6 months of expenses protects you from shocks and reduces the need to borrow at high cost. Cite 1232. Shifting from emotion to strategy starts with naming your money script and then rewriting it, in tiny steps, into a narrative that favors long-term wealth. Adjust the wealth thermostat gradually by setting clear, automatic increases to savings rather than big, dramatic cutbacks after a mistake. A 24-hour pause on non-essential purchases gives your brain time to cool off and choose with intention. Automate debt payments and investments so the money moves before you feel the urge to spend it. Track 3 categories of spending for a month to see where leakage happens, then fix at least one category with a simple policy, like no buying lunch out more than twice a week or plan groceries on Sundays. These moves don't rely on luck, they rely on predictable patterns. Consider how this looks in practice. One person quietly shifts a portion of each paycheck into an investment account and keeps daily spending within a planned envelope. After several months, the difference is tangible in a growing balance rather than a fancy purchase. Another person names the triggers that spark impulse buys and practices a delayed choice instead of immediate gratification. Over time, the impulse fades and confidence grows. The end result is wealth you can feel, not just see, because it reduces stress and expands options. Wealth is the quiet result of consistent, purposeful behavior. It is the byproduct of choosing the better path when it costs less than the alternative. Wealth isn't a shout or a sudden windfall. It's the quiet result of daily choices that add up over time. Your money script is the small voice guiding every buy, so name it and rewrite it. When scarcity fog rolls in, pause and check the facts instead of reacting on fear. Switch on a higher level with your wealth thermostat by tiny, automatic steps. Save a little more, spend with intention, review your plan regularly. Remember the compound interest of habits. Small, consistent actions compound into big outcomes, often faster than you expect. This isn't about a magic switch. It's about changing behavior so wealth can arrive through steady, smart moves. If you've felt that pull toward impulse buys, you're in good company, and you can shift from emotion to strategy. A simple starting move. Tonight, name one impulse and replace it with an automatic transfer of an amount you barely notice. If you want more practical help, subscribe and tap the bell. Next, we'll break down a budget that fits real life, not fantasies. We'll also preview future videos on investing basics, designing money rituals, and quick experiments to rewire your money script. Wealth is a quiet result of behavior, and your future self is already grateful. See you in the next video.